today, after so many requests, I'm going to be showing you a very easy way of using the planner, or kind of how I use the planner, and maybe tips and tricks. I don't know if they're going to be tips and tricks, because I think if you've been using the planner for many years, you would have your own way of doing things. But I'm just going to show you how I use it, so maybe something will be useful. Okay, let's go. This is almost going to be like an unboxing. Shiny. By the way, everything that comes with it, I try to reuse. So this shiny butter translucent paper is something I would use for if maybe a wrapping, or sometimes I would use it as, I will show you. Wait, I will keep it here. Then the thank you note, and I'm going to talk about this in a second. And the sticker book, of course, which I will use as we go along. I'm actually quite stingy with stickers, but over here I will be very liberal in my using. Okay, and here, my planner, goodness me. Okay, so let's open the first page. I'd usually just use two things. So it would be one color pen or a color pencil. I actually use both, and just a regular pen. But here I also got a pencil, which also I use, and also a brush pen if I feel like drawing, and a little highlighter and some color pen. Okay, I got too much. I will use everything now, but in true honesty, I'll kind of use like two pens. So let's draw my sweet face. Okay, so I'm going to use a pencil. Maybe I'll use a pen. I don't know. Okay. By the way, this is why I love the spiral one, because I do a lot of flippies. Now, if it's just easier for me, but it's a very, very personal choice what people like and prefer in general. Okay, so let's start. Because I have my brush pen, I think this first page, you should go all out, because your first page. So I always keep a pink color pencil with me at all time, like when I'm So this is just like a regular marker thingy, and the reason I'm using this is because it's just thicker to use and easier to use than a brush pen if I'm writing, if I'm doing lettering. So the reason I have pink is because I can use pink as, I think, mainly the blush, which is why I think it's so cute. And then I'll use it for everything else. My first sweet face is done. This is just a marker. I'm using, for the big name, I'm going to use the marker because it's nice and bold. The mantra of the year is take a little more me time. If funny, please contact. I will write my email address. Now this is just regular information. This page is very generic, your name, your address. When you're starting your diary, there's almost a bit of introspection. There's one thing I can maybe say about myself. I don't know why I'm shy of this, but I feel like I'm really happy-go-lucky. Okay. Well, I think this is nice. Emergency contact, whoever is your emergency contact. Next is the calendar. So this is the page I go to instantly when I'm on a call. I mean, I use this page a lot because when I'm on a call and someone asks if you're talking about days, I'll usually go here and check. Space to grow. Okay, now there are a lot of these blank pages where you can write technically whatever you want, but I've given a sort of hint if you want to use it for something specific. Like here, space to grow might be things that you want to use where you feel like you want to work on yourself a little bit more for the year. Again, a place for introspection. Maybe you don't want to do it in the beginning of the year. I usually recommend people do, but of course you can do this anytime. Write things you want to work on. Letter for you from you. Now, of course, this I've started. Oh, if you don't know the story, and if you've just joined, it's just a letter you write to yourself and I wrote it to open in 5 years. I've not opened a single one, but I feel like there's still years I want to wait, maybe 10 years before I open the one from a decade back. Basically, the instructions are here. And here's the scribbles and thoughts. So what you can do is write you don't have to do this, by the way, in the beginning of the year. It is really nice, but you can also do it towards the end of the year because you have a full page to write all your thoughts that you want to write on your letter. So how it works is, this scribbles and thoughts is maybe you want to compile, maybe you want to take a few days and you want to write all the thoughts that you want to compile in your letter. It's a very small piece. It's not that big, so it's not super intimidating. And if you want, you can of course add pages in there because it works kind of like an envelope, but you'll have to like stick the pages in there. You can use it for drawing. You can use it for anything. I usually write about what's happening, and I also write things that I'm maybe worried or excited about for the future, and it's usually near future, not like extended, because next day I will write again about the near future. So what you do is, there are cut marks here. So you tear out the page. If this is a hardcover, you might have to cut it out. Here is where I would write on my whole letter. So, dear future self, I hope all is well. Okay, I'm just writing nonsense because I'm just showing you how it works. So here's where you write the whole letter. So you write it all the way to the bottom till the U, and then you cut along the edge. And by the way, there are instructions here of where to cut and where to fold. So the yellow lines over here is where to fold. There we go. Okay. Now, when you fold along the lines, please notice that I'm using these beautiful pair of. Okay, so it makes a crease. I'm just making a crease, by the way. So when you fold it, it will fold like this. That is fine. And it folds over like this. Here's where it says to be open on the other side. And I could write 2020, say in 5 years, so 2029. And here is where you would indulge in sticker putting. Okay, now I'm just going to use an old washi tape. It's cute. And this is what you put either in your, if you have like a memory box or something, but I usually put it in this little fold pocket at the end. And so it's there forever. Empty pages, which is literally for whatever you want. You can put your thoughts, dreams, whatever you like. And there's a lot of places like this, which is just blank. And you can either use it for, because it's so patterny, you can use it for like a photograph, pictures. You can use it as a mood board, whatever you like. But 1 second. First, let me get to top 3 goals of the year. So I've only put 3 because I feel like we should not have like a gazillion. Let's focus on 3. And these are main goals, not like small little. So I'm going to write goal 1 is to take time out for me. And your why is really important for you to stick to it. So because I've been overworking. Steps to achieve your goal. This sets a sort of a timeline for you to achieve this goal. And you can refer to this. And when you're doing this, you can add it to your schedule, here. This is your month at a glance, which is what I use the most. And here's where you look back on the dates you put and you put it in your schedule because this is what you're going to refer to throughout the month. So this comes in the accessory box. This got a notepad. So what I would do is take something like a notepad, and I don't know why, it just sits really cutely. So maybe I'll take a sticky note. And maybe I would put a photograph here. So it is kind of, and this is not sticky, by the way. I'm just going to use another random washi tape that I have. Such a cute little page. But I think a photo would be really adorable. Or maybe a drawing. Then we have monthly divider. Everyone just cuts out the month after the planner is done for the year. And you can use this for whatever you like. You can use it to frame it. You can use it as like a card, whatever you want. But this year, what I've done is I've put highlights, favorite memories, growth, things to remember this month. Because if you're just keeping it, and if you staple them all together, you mark them all together, when you have all your months together, you'll have the month and what are your highlights of the month, your favorite memories of the month. I thought this was really cute. Notes and stuff. Okay, so let's start the month now. So here is where you write whatever notes and stuff. That's it. This is my biggest and most useful page because this is where I write everything from birthdays to events to what I'm working on, and that's where I use the colors. I will start with color. I usually use two colors actually. I don't use only pink. Okay, so here's where I would write. So I'll go back. Cuddle Up Day. Okay, that's on the 6th. So these are, say, the main, and I would look at my previous calendar and see whose birthdays it was in Jan. So my brother's birthday is on Jan 13th. So his name is Leopoldo. So I'm just going to write Polo's birthday. So on 4th is my cousin's birthday. So this was not mentioned in the dates. So you get the drift. And so when I have the month at a glance, I have everything there. See when birthdays are, when there's a possible event happening, when there's a public holiday, when I can plan a holiday. So now, just imagine, so Republic Day is on Friday, so we have a long weekend on the 26th. See, I'm telling you in advance. I'm going to say this is the long weekend, and we can possibly go on a trip. This is how I usually mark my events. Now just imagine someone's coming into town and they're not sure about the dates. That's when I would write here. So let's say my friend Michelle is coming into town. So when I come to Feb and I'm starting to write these dates, I would call Michelle and say, hey, do you have your dates yet? So then I'll mark it in. So then I'll know that that day something is happening. Now there's also work stuff. This is how I usually mark it out. So here is where I would write, like the middle part is where I would write the work stuff. So or even meetings. So if there's a meeting here, I'll usually put a star, a work meeting. And then here I would write all the things that I have to do every day. So I'm starting on the 8th, a new project, and I have to deliver it by the weekend. So 8th is when I'll start sketches and send, feedback and send, start finals, finish finals, and send. And extra. I always have one extra day. I always put an extra in case something happens. So I'm always early for projects. So delivered. Okay, and I would write the brand name, of course, if I'm working on it. So now I have an idea of how long everything's going to take, and this is where I go back and I refer to what's happening that weekend. So just imagine I have to have a meeting on the 9th. I have to see how long I would take to finish the work that I've already scheduled in, and then I can figure out whether that's possible or not. So this is the ultimate scheduling for me. The second most important is, of course, the day. Now, I do heavy-duty scheduling. So you have notes at the bottom if you have to write, say, sometime in the week you have to vacuum the curtains. Now, how I do it is, I'm going to use a ruler just to be nice, but I totally do not use a ruler. I just freehand it. So I kind of divide it up, okay? And I'm using a pencil here. On the right-hand side is my less priority stuff, and the left-hand side is my heavy priority stuff. Okay. Now, on the 8th, I know that I have to send sketches. So I would write all my sketches. I would actually plan the week like that. So feedback. Please note how I'm not writing very nicely. I have very not so great handwriting when I write normal stuff. Start finals, finish finals, in case. This is my in case day. And Saturday, Sunday. So now this is my high priority stuff on the left hand side, and the right hand side I can have things which I may or may not have time for. So I might have draw a comic. Just imagine I didn't have time. I would move that here. So then I would write it again. So draw comics. And I wouldn't write about chips 100 times because I can see it beforehand. But as I get done, very importantly is I cancel things out. So I can see what is left over by the end of the day, and I put it on to the next day if need be. You can also use sides for like personal stuff and maybe the left-hand side for work. And you can use a highlighter. I tend to just make a star. So now just imagine I have like 100 things to do in a day, which sadly happens. So I'm just going to make lines like that, okay? Your page is looking very dauntingly notey. Here is where you start using the sticker. So you can put like, say, you finished all your work. A monthly tracker is, say, you're starting a new habit. Before, there should be many of them. Take multivitamins, whatever it is, okay? I'm just going to write multivitamin. So you can mark every day. This personal and home things to-dos, I usually write at the bottom here. But just imagine in the beginning of the month, and this usually happens for me at the end of the year when it's festive time and I want to do a thorough house cleaning. Here is where I would write all the things that need to be done at home. And then from here, I would mark it in here. So I'd break it down and say the top priority happens in the beginning of the month. And next is the monthly meal plan, whatever other planning that you have to do in the morning, evening, and night, like 3 times a day. And of course, the wellness tracker. Some people love tracking their mood, some people don't love tracking their mood, but it's essential for some people. I do is I'll usually write things like, so on Monday, I did weights, and then you can write whatever you want. So at a glance, I have a list of which days I've worked out or not. And if you want, you can even write the amount of time. So weights for like 30 minutes. Also, you can write your wins. And if you want to improve, like wins would be, say I worked out 5 times in the week, which is, and that's it. And again, an extra page to write your notes. And then we're on to the next month. And that's kind of how the whole thing is. So one thing that I moved from the back of the page from the previous planners was things like movies you watched and books you've read. But I felt like that would be perfect to write on your monthly highlights. So what I like to do with these pages is, again, decorate it like how I showed you before. So I would take something like maybe one of these Post-its, and I'll use this as the header and write whatever header you want to. Read. And then if you want, you can use I would decorate the base with put some photographs. But it's so cute, sad. So I would stick it here, stick this here. Like I said, I use my monthly spread all the time. So one bookmark is always here, always here. And the second one would be by the day. So just imagine it's here. And so I would always open this page, especially when you're heavier in the month. And I hope you enjoy. I cannot wait to see your planners. And please send me photos and let me know how it goes. Okay, bye. Thank you.